Good morning, Stars fans. This is Friday, June 6th. We're here to record Clean Sheet of Ice, the Texas Hockey Podcast. We were planning on recording today, doing a season recap episode where we went through all of our favorite moments. I went through all 82 games in the regular season. I went through the playoffs. I wrote down all of my favorite moments. And all of a sudden, right here at 9:30 a.m., the Stars announce breaking news that they have fired head coach Pete DeBoer and are on the search for their next head coach of the Dallas Stars. This is Clean Sheet of Ice, the Texas Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Strenkman, joined always by Dom Garcia. How are we doing?
So, a little behind the curtain here. I wake up this morning. I work out 5 minutes away from Apollo HQ Park. I always try to get here early because you never know. Stone's early morning rides are just like me. Ready to film, a season recap. And 2 minutes after stepping into the door, this news breaks, and it's news that I was expecting. But also, I wasn't expecting it June 6th at 9:40 in the morning. Shock factor is real. It's the move I wanted, but still, I was not ready for it right now. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I did some digging early this week. There were some rumblings, there were some eyeball emojis, so I started being an actual journalist for once and started texting people and reaching out and trying to see if anyone had some news. And to say that I'm shocked by this would be a false statement. I knew it was coming. I just wasn't prepared for it to happen right as we were about to record. So now this is the shock factor heading in. I thought this was going to happen early next week because we were told at exit interviews on Saturday, so almost a week ago now, that Jim Nill will meet with the media for his end of season media availability at a later date. It'll be early next week. We'll talk to you then. We're like, okay, so like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in there, we're going to talk to Jim Nill, find out about the injuries and where does this team go from here and what is his plans for the summer and free agency with no cap space and all of these things. So we're looking at all those things, and it's Tuesday and we don't have an email saying, hey, Jim's going to meet with the media at a certain point. I have no idea. Like, this is something that kind of came out of the blue. He's meeting with the media here at noon. So in 2 hours, basically in Frisco. I'm going to have to get this episode up real fast and get up there and see what Jim Nill has to say. I have an idea of who the next head coach could be. I think there's a very easy target for the Stars. Not going to say who, and I don't know if there's any truth to it, but me and Sam Nessler have an idea of who they may want to bring in and who they don't want to lose in the organization. But this is massive news. Pete DeBoer cannot last more than 3 years with an NHL team. Like, if he does not win, he's going to upset people and he's going to rub people the wrong way and he's going to do this and stab your back goaltender in the back. And we just get so thin with the media. I guess the guys in the locker room, like all of these things. If he never says anything about Jake Ottinger after game 5 and then doubles down on it in exit interviews and doesn't talk to him, have a conversation with them about it, I didn't know where they went with Pete DeBoer. Like, this was pretty much the only answer for me. You can't stab your goaltender in the back, especially your franchise goaltender. It's one thing if it's a guy on a 1-year deal that's like $2.5-3 million, and you're like, okay, he's probably not even coming back anyway. I can throw him under the bus. Still a shitty move, by the way. It would not be a good move to do that, throw a player under the bus. But it's one thing to have it be the franchise goaltender that's signed for 8 years now. He's going to start his 8-year contract this upcoming season with Mikko Rantanen. You got those two guys locked up for the next 8 years, and you can't call them out like that in the way that you did, and then also double down on it in exit interviews. So I think it's just a culmination of that, and then the inability to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals, going to 3 straight Western Conference Finals. He did a hell of a job with the team. Not going to say anything about that. Hell of a coach. He's one of the best coaches in the NHL. However, this is the end that everyone has experienced that has hired him before, with San Jose, with Vegas, and now Dallas. Has 3 straight stops where he's been there for about 3+ years, and he wears thin on everybody. And I'm shocked. I wanted to talk to Pete one-on-one and just say, hey, thanks for talking to us and giving us all these quotes and all this stuff for the rest of the whole season and everything. It was my first year covering them with Press Pass, and yeah, I don't know. Pete DeBoer's gone. He's fired. So I'm talking in circles right now. I don't know what to do with myself. It's crazy.
Yeah, and now that we're kind of talking ourselves through the reality of what's happening and the Stars right now are without a coach, you look back at Pete, and it's just when you have this much talent, particularly in Vegas and particularly in Dallas, and you just can't break through, take the Jake Ottinger stuff out. There's too much talent to continue to live the same story. I thought the moment he got fired was the exit interview, in my opinion. You just had he not done that, he still might have his job. But boy, that like you can't be that stubborn, man. And as you look forward, man, this Dallas Stars job looks very enticing for a lot of quality coaches. We don't know what's going to happen. Everything is just kind of it's a fresh wound right now. And boy, though that media availability in a couple hours, that's going to be interesting.
I'm going to have to hightail it up to Frisco after getting this up on YouTube and podcast platforms for everyone to listen to and react to. It's a shocking development. I thought this was going to be next week, and here we are on Friday morning, and now I got to get ready and get up to Frisco, hear what Jim Nill has to say. But yeah, the coaching search is going to be interesting because there's not a lot of coaches out there that may mesh with this locker room. I think there's a coach that will be fired pretty soon here from another team in the Pacific Division. Not going to say who. You can do your own research on that, but I have a pretty good idea of who it is. And he may have replaced Pete DeBoer at another stop, and he may do it again if he ends up leaving that team. I don't think that would be a bad hire. I think he's a great coach as well, one of the top 5, top 10 coaches in the NHL. But I do think one of the top targets is not an outsider. I think it's an insider. So
okay,
we'll see. But holy shit, man. Yeah, shocking that it happened right before we record. So I'm in scramble mode right now. I've gone through many a times with firing head coaches of my favorite teams. Obviously, the Jim Montgomery one was incredibly shocking. He's one of the best coaches in the NHL. He has a moment outside the AAC at a bar and got in trouble, and they couldn't deal with that. Like if that happens anywhere else outside of the AAC grounds, basically, he may have still been the head coach of the Dallas Stars for a few more years, or he might still be the head coach of the Dallas Stars, but that doesn't happen. Get Rick Bowness. Bowness ends up leaving, or I can't remember if he got fired or just resigned, but you get rid of him. Pete DeBoer shows up, go to 3 straight Western Conference Finals, a hell of a lot of success. You're competing for a President's Trophy last season. This year, you're chasing Winnipeg and competing for that Central Division crown and also the President's Trophy at that point. And he had a lot of success.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And the problem was they couldn't score in the dirty areas in the Western Conference Finals. They got beat up by their first 2 rounds every year. They're going 6-7 games against teams that, quite frankly, you should beat in 5 with the talent of this roster, with the reconstruction of this roster over the last 3 years. You went from a team that was slow and powerful and got to the dirty areas, and you completely flip-flopped it, and now you're finesse and you're skill-based and all these things. You make this giant trade for Mikko Rantanen at the deadline. You reconfigure this team, and you add a superstar. You get your defense in order where you didn't have it in order the last 2 seasons, and all of those things did not work. And at some point, it's the definition of insanity. My dad always said it to me growing up. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. They didn't necessarily do that, but the style of coaching and play never changed under Pete DeBoer, and it didn't work in the 3rd round of the playoffs every year.
Yeah, no, I mean, once again, I'll say it a million times, like the wound is so fresh, the Band-Aid is ripped off. The one real big take I have right now at 9:50 is this is a message that management has the players on the Dallas Stars backs like no other. This was clear cut, both the players in this organization, and they are working right hand in hand with Jim Nill and everyone in that organization. And you cannot say those types of things. You cannot act that way. Play the finger pointing game. This is a team. And if you're a player on this team, if you're a free agent, that's huge, man. To know that management has your back like this, it's huge, huge. And boy, if the candidate that I have pictured in my head, which you're hinting at,
Courtney said
I
it in
don't
her
mind
group
it.
message.
I don't mind it.
Yeah, it would be interesting. It's a different style of play with a lot of similarities at the same time. Like he does things a little bit differently and coaches a lot differently than Pete does. Pete is never too high, never too low. Stick to your game. The results will come. Bruce Cassidy doesn't necessarily do that. He makes changes throughout series and he coaches completely differently than Pete DeBoer, but has a lot of similarities at the same time. It's very interesting to see the route they'll go. Obviously, we won't know for, I would assume, a couple of weeks here, maybe 3, heading into the draft. Jim Neal's going to construct this roster how he wants, and then he was going to put a coach who he thinks is going to take that roster to the next level, to the Stanley Cup Finals. And the expectation is to win a cup every year. Only one team wins it. 31 teams go home unhappy, regardless of the results of the regular season, because they didn't win the cup. And Pete DeBoer even said that in his exit interview. That is the one goal. It's the one objective. And if you're not that one team at the end of the year, like, you don't have good odds. There's 31 teams that aren't going to win the cup every year. And the Stars haven't done it for 3 straight years. The first team to go to 3 straight conference finals and not end up winning a cup. The Stars did it in 99, 2000, like 98, 99 and 2000. They ended up winning the cup in the second year, but went to the cup in, I believe, 2000 as well. And I don't know, man. There's a lot of words that I want to say that I can't say, and there's a lot of things that I want to say that I don't know what to say at this point. It's just it's interesting. But what you said, Jim Neal, he's got the boys back. The most important players, or
Yes.
most important people in the organization, are the players. They are the ones that will give you the results, that will get you where you want to go if you construct the roster correctly, which I believe Jim Neal has. He's done everything now in the last 3, 4, 5 years to make a great roster, a top 3 roster in the NHL. There's hardly any weaknesses. He's done all the trades. He's gotten first-round picks out the door now for multiple players, like 3 players this year that you acquired off of draft picks and 1 prospect. Like, they did everything they could this year, and they just fell short. And I believe injuries played a part in it. I believe not changing the system played a part in it. And we're here again. We're at an offseason where you're one of the 4 best teams in the NHL this season, and you didn't become one of the best 2 teams in the NHL this season. You're sitting in the same position for 3 straight years.
Yeah, and Pete's kind of like even kill mentality, particularly in the postseason. This Stars team needed some juice. They needed something, and a different voice in there. They're going to take their time. They're going to get the right guy. But if there was a roster that needed not an even kill coach, but somebody that when times are tough, you need that rah-rah, you need that uplift in juice, I think it's this team. And I'm excited to see what happens. I'm really excited to see this media availability because, boy, like, it's just so fast. Like, it's so fast.
Yeah, so the Stars put out a tweet. That's how I learned about it. The email and the Slack notification for Stars Media came right after. The tweet is a graphic that says Dallas Stars general manager Jim Neal announced today that Pete DeBoer has been relieved of his head coaching duties effective immediately. The search will begin for the next head coach for the Dallas Stars. And then in quote, after careful consideration, we believe that a new voice is needed in our locker room to push us closer to our goal of winning a Stanley Cup, Neal said. We'd like to thank Pete for everything that has helped our organization achieve over the last 3 seasons and wish him nothing but the best moving forward. Pete DeBoer's going to get a job. He's going to get a hell of a job. He's going to do a hell of a job with the next team, and they're going to be really good, and he's a great coach. But at some point, man, you need that kick in the ass. You need someone to go headhunting, regardless if there's a penalty and you get tossed from the game. At some point, you got to have a little bit of retaliation, and not just from goal scoring, because goal scoring is the best way to retaliate, and winning the game is the best way to retaliate. I get that. But at some point, you got to send just Liam Bichsel out there, because That is one thing I noticed in the playoffs. Liam Bichel, when he'd have those 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hit games, when you're looking at it like, holy shit, he's doing that all in one period. Just pay attention. He's doing it in one period, and then they're going to intermission, they're going to the break, and Pete is telling him like, hey, quit it. You're going to get a penalty. We can't go on the PK, even though you have one of the best PKs of the last 3 seasons. Like you noticed it in the Edmonton game. The tide started turning when Liam Bichel and Jamie Benn went out there and started fucking hitting people, and hard in that game 5. They're hitting the shit out of people late in the first period. And then you didn't see that the rest of the game. The rest of the game, you didn't see that. And that was getting the crowd in it. Obviously, Robo gets a goal. And you're like, okay, we're not completely dead. We're kind of dead, but we're not dead yet. And then the second period, everything shifts. They're going back to the perimeter type offense, and they're not playing physical defense, and they're in the wrong spots, and there's more goals that scored, and you pulled your goaltender. And man, when I was sitting in that press conference room after game 5, it's down in the Mavs practice court. So it's down below the ice and everything. It's a big room, and you got tables everywhere, and then you got all the chairs, the big podium, all the things. When I was down there and he said that about Jake Ottinger, I said, that's it. It's over. And I said it before game 5. Maybe it was after game 2. I looked at Sam. I was like, are we seeing the Pete DeBoer that we've seen the last 2 stops, the last year of his last 2 stops, where he's not a kind person at the podium, and he's frustrated about the results of the game and frustrated of not winning, essentially. But he's not taking it out on us, but it feels like he is. And I understand that he wasn't taking it out on the media at all, but that's the way it comes off. He's not giving you real answers. He's avoiding everything. He doesn't tell the truth. He does all these little things, and you're looking at it and you're like, man, he's wearing thin on the media. I can't imagine what it's like in the locker room or with the front office. And then game 5 happens, and I said, that is a fireable offense. I believe you said it after game 5. That is a fireable offense to call out your goaltender that way and expect to come back, even though you have another year of your contract. Like, I think he's got $4 or $5 million that he's about to get paid to sit at home or to go coach another team. That's what's going to happen. But the Stars and Jim Nill and the players all, I think, ultimately decided like, hey, that wasn't okay. That's not something you can come back from and get into the locker room and still have the respect that they had pre-Edmonton series. That's not something that can happen. And here we are. He's gone. He's done. He got fired.
Yeah, and there was only a year on his contract anyway. So that's why I was always leaning towards, like, when we got eliminated, this was the road we probably will go down. And it's the right road to go down. Just very wild. But not to get off topic here, the thing I'm noting too is this is happening. All these rumors of Robertson being talked about in trade talks, and now Marchman's being talked about in trade talks, I highly doubt any of that's going on at the same time as now we have to find a new coach. So that kind of plugs a hole into that, put that to rest. But yeah, no. It's the move you had to make, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what you mentioned about trade talks, I mean, Mush, Lyubushkin, and Dumba make more money combined than Jason Robertson does. If you're looking at trade targets, those are the 3. Plain and simple. That if they want to create cap space, those are the 3 guys that they end up dishing out for prospects or guys that are just about to come into the NHL. So still prospects, but right there that are going to be able to give you NHL minutes immediately. And I think the trade rumors are dumb. I don't think you need to pay attention to it until after the draft. I think that's when you start to look at things, or maybe during the draft is when that starts to happen. And yeah, I mean, Jim Nill, he's the best general manager in hockey. And he needs the best coach in hockey to get this team over the hump. I believe that's what he's looking at. He's like, look, I put together this incredible roster. You got superstars now. You got young superstars upcoming like Wyatt Johnson and Thomas Harley. I got extensions upcoming. I need to go win a fucking cup before I run out of money. And he's out of money. So he had to look at all of the things on the table. He obviously looked at the results, and he obviously looked at the press conferences and how he treated players at that point. And he knows a lot more than we do, being in the locker room probably for post-game stuff and all the sorts like that. He's seen a lot more than we have and what I have, even being in the locker room. But crazy moment. Pete Pete DeBoer is fired. Stars are on the search for a head coach now. So, man, shocking that it happened right before we record. That is the shocking thing for me.
I think Zero Gravity was about to. Or no, what happened was you were about to go to a Stars game, and you had to record post Luka trade.
Yeah.
And I thought that was crazy.
And I had hours to melt on that one. I had 10 minutes.
I'm getting my mind. I'm thinking, oh yeah, that Ottinger save against Vegas, that hat trick.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about this, and then boom, you're looking for a new coach. It's like, wow.
The first thing I wrote for the season recap was game 2 of the season. Sagan scored 2 goals, and Jamie Benn had a goal, and you beat the Islanders 3-0 in the home opener. That's what I was thinking about. It's like,
dude.
And then the 7-goal games against the Penguins and Bruins, back-to-back games in November. That's what I'm thinking about heading into this episode. And Pete DeBoer gets fired 10 minutes before we start.
Boy. Well, there will even though it's the off season, there will definitely be some content for Texas hockey.
Yeah, we might have 2 episodes next week. We might be talking head coach search, and then we'll do a season recap where we talk about all those moments and some of the moments that we just mentioned. Like, we're going to talk about all of that. It may be later next week. We might have to do a head coach leaderboard episode early next week, and maybe do 2. We were going to go down to 1, but now we can't. We just have no option. We can't go down to 1 episode a week.
Hey, I'm not complaining.
I just like sitting in that press box after game 5 and watching the mats get rolled out for the trophy and the handshake line and everything. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, I've been enjoying talking about hockey after every single game of these playoffs. We had 15 episodes in the month of May alone. I think we have 45 episodes total for this entire season. We started in December, breaking the news that Tyler Seguin went on LTIR. And then we end it. This is the end of the season. This culminates the end of the season. I know we did the game 5 recap. I know we've talked about the exit interviews. This is the end of the 2024-2025 Stars season. Now the offseason begins, and we can talk about head coaches, trades, free agency, draft. We can talk about all of that now. But this is the culmination of the 2024-2025 season. This is the end for Pete DeBoer and the 2024-2025 season for the Stars.
There's no vacation. There's just nothing but seasons. Even though the off season, there's no games.
It'll never end. And we have an incredible Stanley Cup Finals going on. Game 1 went to overtime. Leon Draisaitl came over. Game 1 overtime winner. Like, incredible game. I was sitting there. So JP, Justin Mirabueno of Summit State of Mind, our Rockets podcast, he texted me that morning before game 1 of Florida Edmonton, and he was like, "Is this going to be okay?" And he sent me a Prize Picks slip where it had 5 WNBA hits. They were all 5 hits, and he needed one more to win about $200 on like a $5 Prize Picks. Use code Apollo when you sign up, give to $100 match on your first deposit. But he's sending me that, and the last one is Sergei Bobrovsky, more than 20.5 saves, and it was a taco, so it was a discounted pick on Prize Picks. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just watched Edmonton not put up 25 shots a game against the Stars. Like, they weren't just peppering Jake Ottinger, and our Stars defense is nowhere near what the Florida defense is. And I was like, I think it's going to be dicey, but I think you can get 21. And we're sitting there in the first period, and we're like, ooh, not good, not good. And the second period, he's pretty close at that point. And I was like, you're fine. You need like 2 more saves heading into the third period. You're going to be fine. But that's what I'm talking about right now. It's off season. I'm talking about the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm just kind of brainstorming trades, and all of a sudden, Pete DeBoer gone, fired, and now we're here.
I mean, I was ready to relax. Like, I was thinking about going to live up in Dallas.
Yeah.
At the end of the month, and then no, there is no relaxing. Like,
not anymore.
That's Texas hockey.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's golf season, but it's not golf season just yet. Now we got more to talk about. So I'll head out next week and hit some balls. But it is what it is. Breaking news: Pete DeBoer fired from the Dallas Stars. Our head coach is now gone. You have a vacancy, and that you got to fill. Either you can attract an NHL coach or bring somebody up to the big leagues. I don't know what we're going to do. But head coach search is on. Pete DeBoer has been fired. I'm going to get this up as fast as I can. Head up to Frisco, hear Jim Nill talk about firing Pete DeBoer. And then I would assume that's not the only thing we're going to talk about. So if there's more, we'll come back early next week and talk about what Jim Nill said. Obviously, you'll see it all over social media. Mine, at Apollo Stoney on Twitter. And like, you'll see that. Sam Nessler, Leah, Mike Heika, Taylor. We're all going to be tweeting it. Robert, we're all going to be tweeting about it today. So you can get your gist before then, and then we'll go into full detail on next week's episode of Clean Sheet of Ice, Texas Hockey Podcast. Dom, thanks for hopping on with the shocking episode. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Shout out to our sponsor, Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. I'm going to need one after I get back from Frisco immediately. Ready to drink can. I'm going to pull it right out of the fridge. Shout out to the country of Finland. You are not forgotten in this in any way, shape, or form. But Zing Zang.
Please bring Granlund back.
Yeah, would love Granny back. Zing Zang, America's #1 Bloody Mary mix. Zang responsibly. And shout out to Prize Picks. Use code Apollo when you sign up and get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app. It's not sports betting. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to you, Dom. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you for listening and watching all season long. We got a lot more to talk about now in the off season that I knew it was going to come. I just didn't know it was going to happen this fast. Here we are. Clean Sheet of Ice, Texas Hockey Podcast. We'll be back very, very soon with another episode.